Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here. Today's video, I've been tagged over by Mike over at the Fragrance Fraternity. Topic for the video is 5 underrated fragrances. So all 5 of these are going to be summer related. I've got a lot of my other seasonal fragrances up in storage in boxes right now. A little bit hard to dig through them. So all of these are going to be applicable to right now. Many of which I've been speaking about on the channel fairly frequently. These are regulars in my rotation, but I don't find them often spoken of in the rest of the wider fragrance community. And then one of which I've yet to feature this summer season. So we're going to get right into this topic. And before we do, I did want to tag a few people. I wanted to see Gerald over at Swain Swaggy Scents do this one, as well as Nate over at Paragon Fragrances. Would be great to see what kind of underrated fragrances you've got in mind. And also, let's do Chris, the CEO. Would love to see you hop onto this tag as well. So moving into the list here, I've got 1 cheapie, 1 niche, and 3 designers. And we're going to start off right with the cheapie. We're going to go ahead with this one right here, Tous Man Sport. So as you can see, I've got a pretty decent dent in here that's partially because of my enjoyment of the fragrance, partially because of the weak performance and my tendency to reapply this one. This, however, is a real hidden gem compliment getter. I almost always get a compliment while wearing this fragrance. Very refreshing, almost smells like a ginger ale, the ginger soda with a little bit of an apple twist to it, and then an otherwise very sporty, aptly named gym style fragrance, kind of an aquatic blue, but at the same time just very hyper refreshing. Does smell a little bit like a cold shower meets a ginger ale. There's a cooling quality to the juice. The tonality of the fragrance is certainly that little bit of crystal clear water and subtle spicy sweetness. Really an amazing fragrance for the price, and this brand overall I think is a rather hidden gem brand, and I usually get compliments when wearing their fragrances, and this one is no exception. You can usually find this, maybe even testers, which I think I have here, for maybe like $20, $25. Really great value proposition here. Tous Man Sport, first hidden gem on this list. Next one is going to be a technically discontinued fragrance, but I believe that they still have had... I know that the actual brand had it directly on their website earlier this summer, but it's been taken off since maybe late June and no longer there, but it's still floating around on Joma Shop as well as places like Amazon and eBay. But Joma Shop, I think, had it for $94. This is Bvlgari Pour Homme Extreme. So this is a tea-based fragrance. Green tea, or more of a black tea, I would say. More of like a, this reminds me of drinking sun-soaked iced tea, like when you take a jar of glass and put the tea bags out there and soak it out in the sun. There's a little bit of that element going on here with a slight, subtle, spicy quality that really just makes it more masculine, but doesn't really bring any culinary elements, I would say, to the spicy quality. And it creates this very good dynamic where the fragrance has a nice degree of dimension to it. It's almost like fragrances which are both sweet and fresh at the same time do really well because they have that dimension. This one does the same thing with spicy and fresh, but it goes in a direction that most spicy fragrances that have a good combination of notes there tend to be more autumnal or winter style fragrances. So that's what's very unique about this one. Doesn't get a lot of mention, maybe just because it's been discontinued, but this is one of my also most complimented fragrances in my collection, and the most unique compliments as well. I've been told while wearing it that I carry it very well, so it might just be my personality that it harmonizes quite with this one, but also Jacques Cavalier is the perfumer who's also done all of the Louis Vuitton fragrances that are so popular for this time of the year. So it's definitely worth checking out. It's got a great nose and artistry behind it, and it's a compliment puller for under $100. Next one, this is Un Jardin and Mediterranee from Hermes. A good little dent in there as well. Again, same thing with the Tous, where it's just something I have to reapply because of poor performance. But hyper refreshing and woody masculine. This has a lot of florals in it, however, so it is a unisex fragrance in my opinion. Even though it has this very prominent woody note, I think women can pull this off easily because of the heavy dewy florals going on in here. And then besides the wood, which comes in from a cypress note, and the dewy florals, the fig is a sweetening agent in this fig leaf. So it's very green, very watery, dewy, refreshing, woody. Reminds me of just walking in some type of tropical environment after a big storm or rain where there's not a lot of sun going on. It's a little bit overcast but still really hot and humid, and there's a lot of vegetation and palm trees and greenery and fruits growing on those trees. This is somewhat like that experience in a bottle for me, and another really great hidden gem from Hermes that, well, maybe it's not a hidden gem, but it's definitely underrated. I don't see many people speaking on this, but it's one of my favorite aquatics for the summertime. Next is Paris-Edimbourg from Chanel. So this entire O line, E-A-U-X, the water kind of splash on, poor performance, is built into the marketing of the line, I would say. But as something that is meant to be reapplied, in my opinion, which is why I think they come in these 150 ml bottles. For a pretty affordable price, you can get this 4.2 ounce on directly from Chanel for $150, which is maybe not the most affordable, but honestly for the Chanel quality and getting that extra 50 mLs, I think these are pretty awesome. This is the only one I've tried from the line, but it's such high quality and a favorite of mine. This is in my top 10 of all time right now, and maybe just because of the novelty reeling me in to such an extent, but I really adore this fragrance and I'm looking forward to trying out the rest of the line. I've seen some of the other people in the community that have tried the more citrus leaning fragrances from this line that say that they're really good, so I'm looking forward to trying those out. But this is, again, cypress, just like with the Un Jardin and Mediterranee, so you have to like cypress or not be turned off by it. I know it can be a little bit of a strong note. So there's a really nice green woody cypress in here, a lavender that really brightens it up with this gentlemanly appeal, some pillowy style musks that make this soft, even though the cypress has this bark-like texture to it, so it's a good combination of soft and rugged. I often describe this as a lumberjack in a tuxedo fragrance, and then a little bit of vanillic sweetness and otherwise sparkly citruses, and the sparkly high quality citruses make this go-to for me in the summer and spring transitional period, that early part of June. But I've been wearing this any time that it's been overcast or rainy as well during the summertime. And then finally, the last one, I've done a full review on this recently, spoken about it a few times on the channel. Definitely sample this, do not blind buy it. The entire house, I believe, is underrated, but that might be just because of its appeal to more, I guess, are more of the fragcom and less of the mainstream. It's definitely an artistic house, and this is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, from the house. I own 3 currently and plan on picking up a 4th from them, but this is Aedes de Venustus Copal Azur. And like I said, done a full review on this one. This is one of the most awe-inspiring fragrances in my collection, perfumed by Bertrand Duchefort. This is really like frankincense is at the core of the fragrance. That's the main player, but you get this really nice sweet spicy cardamom going on in here, this salt and ozonic quality that come together that really make this apt for the summertime, because that salty ozonics almost reminds me a little bit of something like Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Intense, but none of that citric quality or the musky nuances that's replaced by things like cardamom and myrrh and incense and It's just such a, it reminds me of outer space and the ocean, like the vastness of those two things, and it's why it's so awe-inspiring for me, because it just opens up so much with that ozonic quality, and then the incense bringing this sense of just a vast expanse. It's just really such a, I'm a little bit at a loss for words, even though I've already done a full review on this one, just because it's so awesome. And those were my 5 underrated fragrances. Thank you again, Mike, for tagging me, and thank you all again for reaching the end of the video with me. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.